Hey, what's up, guys? If you're thinking about getting married, this video is for you. I'm going to give you straight up, honest feedback and advice from somebody who's been there, done that, and explain to you my opinion on it and some options that you have. Guys, I'll shoot straight to the chase on this video. If you're thinking about getting married as a man, the answer is no. No legal marriage under any circumstance ever for any reason, and I don't care what your excuse is. Trust me, guys, I've been there. Countless guys have been there. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why was saying this, and then I'm going to give you some practical options for you as a man moving forward, for a man who wants to experience love and connection. But let's shoot straight to the chase here, guys. If you're looking for unwavering love and affection and consideration, you just need to get a dog. Okay? Get a dog, and that dog will give you all of that you're looking for. Because you are not going to find it in a relationship with a woman. Now, I know that's harsh to say for many of you guys out there who are hope strategists and really haven't I get it. We've all been told our whole lives a specific narrative about how relationships are supposed to go. We're supposed to, find this perfect person, supposed to connect with them, and they check all the boxes or most boxes. We have this deep, meaningful connection, fall in love, get married, have 2.5 kids, house with a picket fence. But the reality is that is not how it works out for the majority of men. The stats are actually horrendous, and Coach Greg Adams breaks down the stats on his channel. I'm not going to go through everything in this video, but I will say that the stats are absolutely horrendous. Okay, we know that statistically speaking, 60% of marriages that have occurred will end in divorce. Now, I say have occurred because that's an important distinction that people don't tell you with those stats. The reality is we don't really know what the true divorce rate is. Our divorce statistics are all based upon the past, looking into the past and seeing that 60% of marriages that have occurred have ended in divorce. But we know that societal changes due to the internet, social media, dating applications, all these types of things have drastically changed the dating marketplace and the relationship marketplace as well. And it's very likely that the divorce rate is actually way higher than 60%. We just don't know that because we are living in the present moment. And 10, 20, or 30 years, we'll understand a little bit more about the dating dynamics and how it's affecting marriages. We know that fewer people are getting married. But even with the fewer and fewer people getting married, the divorce rates are still drastically increasing. And folks, I want to point out that the divorces are the divorces are only the people who were honest and brave enough to actually pull the trigger on the divorce. You have to recognize that, even though past statistics say 40% of past marriages remain married for X amount of time, whatever that means, because what does that even mean? Because if you have a couple who's been married for 60, 70 years and they end up getting divorced, they're not considered yet part of the statistics either. So we know that most marriages will end in divorce. Okay, that's just a reality. Most relationships will end. That is a fact. People will come and go through your lives. The majority of people who you meet, 99% of them will leave and never come back. Now, like I said, the divorces are only those who were brave enough to actually take the effort to do the divorce. Of the people who remain married, guys, less than 1% of those people remain happily married. The majority of people who even stay married, the few percentage, whatever that is, will end up in a very unhappy, non-romantic, platonic, boring situations. Okay, so that's really the best case scenario for the marriage. Now, for your hope strategists out there, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, it's not like that for me. I've carefully vetted the people I'm dating. I have this big checklist that I have, and they have to meet all these checklists, and they have to have all these things perfect. And, I happen to have found that one person who checks off all the boxes. Well, the problem, guys, is that people change. Okay, if you haven't noticed that, over time, everyone changes. Those changes can be good, they can be bad, they can be neutral. There could be health issues, mental health issues. There could be all types of different things that can affect the person's behavior and how they interact with you. And the problem with the marriage, there's a couple problems with the marriage agreement. First and foremost, the contractual marriage arrangement. The problem with that is it actually kills the thing that you actually want in the relationship, which is the passion, which is the desire, which is the uh, feeling of mystery about this other person. When you enter into a contractual relationship, all that goes out the window instantly, right? Because now you've entered in a new uh, emotion into the relationship, which is obligation. See, the thing is when you're dating somebody and you're just spending time with somebody and hanging out with them, you had this feeling that this person is genuinely into you for you, right? You're not there for other reasons. And if you ever feel like that, you're going to lose attraction for this person. Well, the problem is that when you enter into a marriage contract, a marriage agreement, you now enter in automatically by default this feeling of contractual obligation, and this actually kills the entire vibe that you have with this person in the process. Put it this way: let's say we're friends and we're hanging out. Uh, we're hanging out at the house. We're grilling. We're cooking something on a grill. We realize, oh, we need some stuff from the store. Okay, so I tell one of my buddies, hey, watch the grill for me. I'm gonna run to the store, and I'm like, hey, you want to go with me? So we go into the store, but before we leave, I want you to imagine. Now all of a sudden I turn to you, hey, before we go to the store, I need you to sign this contract with me that you're going to promise to have a good time on the trip to the store. You're gonna promise that you are going to stay with me the entire time, that you're going to not talk to any other shoppers, you're not going to have all these lists of rules. How would that affect our time together on our trip to the grocery store? It would kind of mess it up, wouldn't it? And that is exactly what happens in a marriage arrangement. Now, and then the other part of that is what ends up happening is in that process, you now become business partners as opposed to lovers. And now you've introduced another aspect, which is you've introduced the state now into your relationship. Now you have a third party introduced into your relationship that now has authority and say so in the relationship, which now adds a whole nother level of complication. Now, I'm not going to do the whole breakdown because Greg Adams did a great breakdown on the marriage will. If you haven't watched his marriage will video, I'll put a link to it in the description. I would highly recommend you watch it because this is the future for 99%, actually 100% of all marriages. Okay, what a lot of people won't tell you is that married men who have been married for more than 3 to 5 years, 99% of them were absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. Another great video Greg Adams did was a video titled Single and Lonely versus Married and Bored. And you should watch that video as well because it's really insightful. The thing is, guys, that human relationships have to be fluid. They have to be in order to be happy and healthy. You need to have a feeling that the people you're with are only with you because they genuinely enjoy your company and they want to spend time with you. And they're not with you for any other reason beyond that. Marriage does the exact opposite. Okay? Now, in this video, I'm not just going to. Right now, I'm talking about legal marriage, okay? I want to give you a couple of options that you can do instead of legal marriage, and one of them is a spiritual marriage. A spiritual marriage can be very beneficial because, look, guys, here's the reality. If you're going to have relationships with females, they want a sense of security. They want to have a sense that you're not just going to leave them high and dry if they get pregnant with your child, and this type of stuff. So they kind of want that assuredness. That's reasonable, right? If you're going to be dealing with women, you're dealing with relationships, you have to understand that's part of the dynamic. And if the less you understand that, the more trauma and drama you're going to invite into your life. So one of the things you can do is if you can really connect with somebody, you can have an actual marriage. You can have a spiritual marriage where you can have the ceremony, you can have all the bells and whistles without the legal obligations. Now you'll have to check with the legal ramifications of that in your particular state or wherever you live, because some states, if you act like you're married, the law will consider you married. So you need to be very careful about how you interact with this. But if you live in a place where you can cohabitate even, or you can have that type of relationship without having the legal obligations, that's maybe a viable option for you. And then the third option, the next option I would give you is get married to yourself. Now I know this is going to sound strange, but instead of trying to find your happiness validation from someone external of you, and this is going to sound very contrarian, fall in love with yourself and marry yourself. See, the problem with a lot of people in this world today, and the problem that many of us face, is this sense of loneliness that we experience in our lives. We feel alone. We feel like we're isolated, that nobody cares for us. And on some respects, that is true, because everyone around you, including those who are closest to you, all do have one thing as a priority, which is their own well-being. Everybody's watching out for themselves, number one. So we have to remember that. So because of that, if you really think about it, it's very foolish for us to then place our happiness on this other person, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to be let down. See, every relationship will end eventually, and there's going to end through either tragedy or trauma or drama. That's really how it's going to end. In best case scenario, let's say you happen to be one of those 1% of people who marry your quote unquote soulmate. You guys spend your whole lives together, and you have no problems, no drama. You just live your lives happy. Ultimately, even that relationship is going to end in trauma, because one of you is going to have to see the other person pass away. It's going to completely devastate you as an individual, plus all the expenses and all the problems that result from that as well can be absolutely devastating. But if you can learn to be in love with yourself and be happy with yourself as an individual and celebrate yourself and be married to yourself, then at the end of the day, you'll never be let down. Because one thing is for sure, you're the only person who you can trust 100%. And it's because of that fact, I would highly discourage all of you from getting married ever, for any circumstance, under any reason. Maybe have some type of spiritual arrangement with somebody if you want to have children, raise kids, which that's a whole nother conversation for another time, because honestly, what's even the point of having kids? And this, I'm just being brutally honest with you guys. This is coming from somebody who has kids. I love my kids, but the truth is, having kids is a lot. Is a lot of work, responsibility, risk, and it, let's be honest here. Very little upside on the having children. Uh, Best case scenario, you have a person or people who conceivably might have your back later on in life, but even that is questionable. Okay, most parents end up in homes anyways, and all kinds of stuff like that. So having kids even is really kind of a remnant of our evolutionary past that is still with us, even though and we still kind of go with it, even though it doesn't really make sense for us in today's time. Um, but yeah, I just want to make this video just say, if you think about marriage, stay away, guys. Just stay away. Don't get close to it. It will probably ruin your life, and that's just a statistical fact. It will probably ruin your life. Listen, if you had to jump out of an airplane, if you were considering doing anything, and there was a 99% chance of you being killed, maimed, or seriously injured to the point of ruining your life, would you do that activity if you were given the option? The answer is no. And that is the statistical facts of marriage. Stay away from it, avoid it at all costs. Maybe have some type of spiritual marriage with somebody if you want to have children, but seriously consider whether or not having children is even something you want to do at all. Guys, life is short, and you don't want to spend it servicing the needs of someone else. And that is what marriage is, especially for men. Think about the act of bending your knee, handing someone else power and authority over your life, and think about the ramifications that come with that. Imagine your life is like a road trip you're taking. You get your vehicle prepared, you have a planned destination for your trip that you want to go on, and you're planning on going on this trip. You meet somebody who you like, who you think would be fun to go on the trip with you, and instead of them just coming with you, you have to hand over full control of your vehicle and your plans and your trip to this other person. Sounds pretty dumb, to be honest. And you're setting yourself up for a disaster if you're giving the control over your vehicle and your trip to somebody who doesn't know the ins and outs of your vehicle, the ins and outs of what you want and what you want to see. It sounds like you're setting yourself up for a disastrous road trip. And that is what marriage is. You're effectively enslaving yourself to another person who does not have the capacity and should not have the right to control your destiny. Stay in control of your own destiny, friends. Love yourself, marry yourself, enjoy yourself. Because ultimately, you're the only person that you have to live with every day of your life. And when you wake up one day, and you look around yourself and you realize all the people who you made all these decisions for and all these considerations for are no longer around you, and you are left by yourself, wallowing in your own self-misery, suffering through the decisions that you have made for yourself, and they're all gone. You're going to have to remember this moment, this video, where you were warned to not go down that road. Save yourself the trauma, love yourselves, take care of yourselves, focus on yourselves, and the rest will follow. Stay strong, kings and queens.